Welcome back to Life Edit and Design. I'm Julianne Price, and today we are talking about some events that you're going to do in the first quarter. And you can see Sazzy's in the background getting ready to record videos with me. And today I wanted to talk specifically about New Year's resolutions. So every year you make them, right? And I think this year, with everything that's been going on, I want to give you a different strategy, a different approach, which is why we're releasing this video early, is really to think about, instead of piling on brand new resolutions onto an already kind of hectic and unpredictable year, let's try a different approach this year. This year I want you to try the clean slate approach, which I think you're going to hear that word a lot this year. Actually, one of my first planners in the Words to Live By series is called Clean Slate, so you can check that out in the Etsy shop. But the concept is, instead of piling stuff on, let's start fresh. Let's wipe the board clean, wipe the slate clean, and start fresh. Don't just keep loading stuff on. You have some baggage here that we need to deal with. You've had a lot of emotions that you've been processing. You may have a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety. The world is just not the way we're used to, right? This isn't, we're used to the normal seasonal patterns, but this is something totally different, and it's disrupted all our patterns, and we're going through each season, and this is our first winter kind of in this post-pandemic world, and things are still shut down. I live in the United States, and there's still a lot of turmoil, and you just don't know what's coming. So rather than try to build on all these new resolutions that you really will have little control over in a lot of cases, because the world is just so chaotic and you don't have your routines, they're not as stable, I want you to think about things differently. So what I want you to do, and what I propose to you, is to look at your life and see where you can kind of edit. Where can you take some things out? Where can you clean some things up? And in the Clean Slate, I talk about things like letting go and forgiveness. But here I want to talk a little bit more about the physical and tangible things that you could do in your life. So one of the earlier podcasts, if you go back way back in the podcast, you'll find the Toleration Game. And that's one of the things I suggest to you is this year, as you're moving into the new year and you're thinking about this clean slate concept, is to start with a list. Go through your home. You're spending a lot more time at home, right? You're not out and about like you're used to. And before you dive into building projects, go through your home and say, what are all the things that are energy drains for me? What are all the things I'm putting up with that are just draining me and draining my energy, and get rid of all these energy leaks and all these things you're tolerating. So it could be a broken handle, it could be a broken window, it could be just marks on the wall. Like I had this mark on the wall that's driving me crazy. Just little things. Go around your house and make a list. Go room by room, sit in the room, look around and say, what are the things that I try to tune out, but they're there and they're irritating me and they're driving me nuts, and just make a list. Go room by room by room. My brother had like all those plastic bags, and they were just overflowing. Every time he opened this one drawer, this one door, they were just in his way, and he'd have to shove them to close the door back. And it's just one of those things that he was just tolerating. Like, why don't you just deal with it? Let's put the bag somewhere else, or let's only have a couple bags there and have the rest of your bags somewhere else. Little things like that you can address, and you can address them usually in a few seconds. I'll give you a great example. I had this door in one of our previous houses, and it wouldn't latch properly. So it was our bedroom door, which of course you want to be able to close it, right? And every time there was a breeze, like if we had the windows open in the summer, every time there was a breeze, the door would blow open. If somebody opened a different door, the suction would blow our door open. So we were always constantly trying to stick stuff underneath it to keep the door shut. And so I'd go to bed earlier and I'd put something on the door so that the door wouldn't swing open. And then my husband would try to come to bed, and now there's a doorstop in the way. And so it's just this constant annoying thing that we dealt with for 10 years. And one day I had a handyman in the house, and I'm like, while you're here, could you just look at this door? It just doesn't latch right. And literally 10 seconds, he took a screwdriver, did something, okay, all fixed, and the door latched. And for 10 years, I had that energy drain. That's something that we just kept putting up with that was fixed in 10 seconds. So go through your house and look for those things. Maybe it's just this pile of mail that always lands on the counter, and it's just papers, and people like, I have to leave this here because I need to deal with it. Has there something important on it? There's an important number on it, or something like that. We've created like a mailbox system, and everybody has their little mailbox, and your mail goes there, but any important papers you want to hold on to, permission slips, order forms, fundraising things, whatever, they all went into their mailbox, and everybody had their own spot. And if they ever needed paper, they knew right where to look. And if it was something we didn't need for a long time, but it was something we needed to reference, there was a binder right next to it, the stuff that was kind of long-term, paint colors. Like if you're ever going to repaint a room, we had all the paint swatches in there, so you could go there quickly to find the paint, but it wasn't something you needed on a regular basis. So those are the things I want you to be thinking about. Is go through your house, make that list, and then start to check them off. So instead of piling on a bunch of New Year's resolutions, make your resolution be, let's get rid of all these energy drains. You've got enough going on with the depression and the anxiety and being trapped indoors. why not make your indoors a place you can really enjoy by just the simple thing? You don't have to do a home remodel. You just have to go find those things that are driving you nuts. Maybe it's a dirty light switch and you just need to wipe it clean. How long will it take you? And you'll feel so much better when you look at the light switch. These are easy things, so I want you to do that first. And then another strategy is after you've kind of dealt with your home environment, then you can kind of move a little bit higher, and this is kind of more what you would deal with in the notebook, The Clean Slate, is what can you eliminate from your life that's really an energy drain? Where do you need to wipe the slate clean? Maybe you have friends that are just toxic. Every time you meet with them, the conversations are just very negative, how everything's wrong with the world. Maybe you need to have less conversations with them. Or, I had one friend who did this. She's like, I'm on a negativity diet, so I don't do any negativity. So if you want to talk about that, please don't do it while I'm here. And of course she said it in a better way, but I just thought it was a riot. I'm like, oh no, I'm on a negativity diet. I can't listen to this conversation. And she'd walk away, or she had fun ways of doing it. But things that you can do to just start eliminating those negative conversations or walking away from it. Another great example is just 2 nights ago, my daughter and I were sitting down, we were just watching TV. Now for me, TV is entertainment, it's a chance to unwind, relax, kind of mindless. And we were watching a movie and there was a lot of bullying in the movie, and I was getting so upset. It was a teenager type of setting and they were bullying one teenager, and I was like, here, we have to turn this off. And then that night I wound up having a nightmare, and there was a bad dream, and there was a lot of bullying in it. I'm like, oh my God, no more. I'm never watching another movie. As soon as there's a sign of this kind of bullying, being mean to people, not doing it. And that's just for me, but I know that's an energy drain. I'm watching TV to relax and be entertained, and not to be kind of ratcheted up with something negative. So as you're going through this kind of toleration, things you're tolerating, what are you tolerating kind of not as tangible, but in your life that's really draining your energy? Are you listening to news that is really dragging you down? Don't listen to it. Maybe you catch the highlights on your web browser that maybe just gives you little snippets and you're like, okay, I feel informed, stop watching the news. Maybe you have so much anxiety about the weather. Part of my job that I'm retiring from, I was in charge of the snow. Like, I was in charge of making sure the snow team was out there, so I was constantly watching the weather because there's a storm out there, and then I have 3 different weather apps and checking, who's got the forecast that says we're gonna have this much snow versus this much snow, and dealing with all of that. So all that you don't need to have in your life. So be looking for those things that you constantly stress over or that bring you down or drain your energy. That's what we're looking for, is those energy drains. And how can you take those out of your life? So wouldn't that be a completely different January, instead of piling on new stresses of, oh, I'm going to work out, oh, I'm going to eat better, and it's a constant stress, right? You're constantly, oh my God, I'm going to get up 2 hours early, and you're stressing about these things. Why don't we start off an already stressful year by eliminating stresses? And I think this is such an easy way. The physical ones are usually very easy and they feel so good. And if you have something bigger, okay, put that off maybe to the spring. If you really need to, relocate your washer and dryer to a different room so you can get to it better, or, something that's a really big project, put those off. The ones I'm talking about here are just the simple, easy things you can do in a few minutes, and then go look at your life and say, what are some of the other things that drain my energy? They're not physically in my home, but interactions I have with people, with social media, the news, and start to eliminate those. I think that's a very different approach to New Year's resolutions, and I hope that you're willing to try it. It's what I'm doing this year, and I think, my daughter was looking on trends, and she said, clean slate is something that keeps coming up, fresh start. Everybody wants a fresh start. And I'm like, yeah, I'm ahead of that. I'm on that train. I already wrote a whole journal about it. So think about it this year. Don't pile stuff on. You got enough going on. There's too much out of your control. You could get blocked out of the gym, even your best resolution, and all of a sudden you can't go to the gym anymore because they closed them, something like that. Why not pick some things that are more in your control and are definitely in the sphere where you're spending most of your time? Deal with your home, deal with your relationships, deal with the information coming in. So that's it for this video. Nice, short, and sweet, but I hope it gives you a great idea of what you can do this New Year's to make a whole different year for you. Let's make 2021 a little bit better than 2020. All right, we'll see you next time.